So in the previous video, we studied about what lists are. In this video, we are going to talk about what sets are. So sets are an extension of what lists are used to help us with. So basically, a list was an indexed list, or you can say an ordered list. So basically, I said this multiple times in the previous video that the order you would add the value into that list, it will come up at that particular index. I explained this multiple times in the previous video. In this video, we are going to talk about sets, and set are an unordered list. What basically means is that if you add a particular value to a set, there's no guarantee at what particular index it will come up. So in a set, there's no ordering of that sort of like in lists, and you cannot do like get 0, get 1, get 2 in a set. No, because set don't have index. Then why do we need set? What is the purpose of having a set in any programming language or in Salesforce Apex if we talk about? So sets are very important. Why? Because they store unique values only. So if you add Himanshu 10 times to a set, it will just show once. And that is the power of a set. And that's why it is very much needed in Salesforce, especially when you need to remove the duplicates within your set of code. Sets come in very handy at that. So what sets are? Sets are unordered collection, but they store unique values only. You can create sets of, again, all the data types, so which we have studied so far. You can create sets of all of them. So as you can see on the screen, it says in list we saw index. Here there's no index. It just gives you San Francisco, New York, Paris, Tokyo. Even if I add Paris 10 times, it will just show once. Let's quickly go to developer console and see how this basically works. So we'll use the same class. It's going to help when we further study. So, when we were initially creating list, we used to write list like this. So instead of list, we'll just replace that particular list keyword with the set keyword. That's all that you need to do. So if you're creating a set of string, so that basically what we write here is set, and inside this particular greater than and less than sign, we give string as our data type. Then we can call it str set, and here we do new set string. And again, we would have to pass the constructor. We already know why we need constructor. Constructor is needed. Assign a memory for this particular variable that we have. Primitive data types, we don't need to do this. So if something like this, we don't need to create a constructor. But for lists, set, maps, S objects, and everything else, you need to do this construct. It is very, very important to do that. So now we are here. Let's add some values to our set. So one way is, again, how do we do it? Is the same way we did it in like we did our string. Let's pass the same values. What I'll do is I'll pass these values twice so that you understand the effect what set does. Now let's add one more value to set, and let's add one more value. Let's call it John. So I'm adding John now here, and let's do system.debug. So I'll call it str set, and we are going to debug the set. Now, basically see the difference. What I'm going to do here is I am going to add the trail maker here twice, so that you basically get to know the difference between the list and the set. I'm just going to run the method again, and let's see what happens. Debug only. So in here, what do you see is trail maker, Himanshu, the trail maker. And here, John and Gina got added. And this is our set. So if you see, it just gives you Himanshu, John, and the trail maker. Now, if you would have observed that here, we gave trail maker first, then we gave Himanshu, then we gave the trail maker and Himanshu, and John was added after all of these values were added. But what we are seeing here is that Himanshu came first, and then John is there, and Trailmaker has come up in the end. That basically is the difference between a list and a set. That list is ordered. So order is basically the order you would add that value in the list, the same way it will show up in the memory. But set is an unordered list. It's just that it stores unique values. So the most important point here is it stores unique value, and which is very important to understand. If you have understood the difference between the list and the set, then we are good to go further down. which is to understand the maps. But if you have any questions here, any confusion between list and set, please rewind the video and watch it again, or reach out to me at on thetrailmaker.com, and I'll be able to answer all of your questions. If we are clear about list and set, let's move on to the next point, which is the maps. So coming up to maps. So map is a very important extension of list and set. So basically, map is a key pair value. So basically, consider it in such a way that you are combining the idea of list and set together, and that basically makes a map. If we understand it, so basically, map is a collection of key value pairs. Each key has a unique value against it. So if we take it, there are a couple of ways of understanding it. I'll try to explain it in multiple ways so that you understand it. So if we go by the list idea initially, so what does it say? So list is an ordered list where you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it based on the order, the value that is added, you would have the variable value against it. So let's say in this example, we are seeing a key value and a value which is added against each key. Now consider this key for a second. Consider this as 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. If we look at it that way at this particular screen, then this basically is a list. If the key is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is a list. But in a map, what we are doing is we are replacing that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 with an actual value of a particular data type. So that basically makes it a map where you can define the data type of the key, and you can also define the data type of the value. So in a list, the data type of the index would always be an integer, which would be 0, and which always starts from 0 and go further down. But here you can define what is your data type for the key and what is the data type for your value. So that makes maps a little stronger. In Salesforce, especially when you start dealing with S objects and business logic, these maps are going to come in very, very handy. Trust me, without maps, you cannot survive in Salesforce. What is the advantage of having a map? If we go by the same logic of list, where we call it 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, what the advantage here is that your key set, so your key value, all of these values would be unique. So whatever value that you would put in the key section, that becomes a set. So that would always be unique. And hence I was saying it is a combination of list and a set. That's the prime reason that your key values become a set. So if let's say you add United States twice, but your United States would be stored only once, the value which would be stored, what do you think? What value would be stored? The value which you added first or the value which you added afterwards? Well, we'll see that in a moment in our developer console. But I'll tell you the value which you added at a later date would be stored. There's a reason behind it, because you can update your map, and hence the later value which gets stored in your value section is right and is more important to do that, to do it that way. When you use your S objects and when you come to a business logic, you'll see how handy that comes in. So let's go and create a map in our developer console and see. We'll try to create a similar example there and see how it works. Let's go there in our developer console. I'm going to create a map. So the same way, instead of list or a set, this time we are going to write map. We call it a string. The data type we are going to give is string for our key, and for value as well, we are going to give the data type as string. This is how you define a map. These two data types could be different as well, but for now, I'm just keeping them separate. I'll show you one more map. We'll create a map with different data types, right? So let's call it country currency map. And again, we'll have to initialize that map. So what we'll do is we'll do the same thing. Whatever is on the left side, you'll use that and add parentheses to the right. So if you change the data types here, you'll have to put the same data types on the right side as well for the initialization. How do we initialize a map? It is very important. So until here, you were seeing we were using add and get values to in our lists and set to add values and get values from our lists. But here in a map, there's a new method which is called put. So what are we going to do? We are going to put some values in our map. How do we do that? So because our data types are string, we'll have to put that in a single quote. So let's say United States, and then we are going to put the currency, let's say USD, right? Then similarly, we'll just copy, and I'm just copying it a couple of times. So then we say United States, then we say India, and we give it INR. Then after that, let's say United Kingdom, and we give it as GBP, and then we go as Canada and we give it as CAD. We'll just see up until here for now, and then we'll come back and see how it looks like otherwise as well. So we'll see it here. Like, let's see what happens when we do this. I'm going to show it to you and see what happens. So debug. Okay. If you look at this particular line, it gives us the map. So map says Canada is equal to CAD, India is equal to INR, UK is equal to GBP, and United States is equal to USD. Now, again, if you would have noticed, we gave Canada in the end. If you look at the order here, it is very different from the order here. Why is it that? Oh, sorry, I think I've spelled it incorrectly. It's United States, but pardon my typo there. So basically, if you look at this, so it says Canada, India. So order has changed. Why? Because your key value is a set. So set is an unordered list. So Canada, India, UK, United States, that's what has happened here. But for each of them, you see a unique value. Let's say, let's repeat this value. Like, let's just repeat Canada for example. If we repeat it, let's see what happens. Still we have got value once, but we wouldn't see any difference because here the Canada, we gave the value as same both the places. But let's say this time we put the currency as AUD Canada, for example. Let's just see that, and let's do a debug again. Let's see what happens now. So you would get two map results. So here, if you see Canada is equal to CAD, and here now if you see it says Canada is equal to AUD. So like I told you earlier, the value which is added at the end gets updated in your map. If your key value, if it is same, so that doesn't get duplicated, right? Hence, map is a combination of set and a list. It's an extension of lists and set together, and hence you can use it. Like similarly, you can create maps of any particular data type. So let's say you can create map integer comma string. You can do something like this, or you can do any other data type here as well. So I'll just show you int string map is equal to new. So now if you initialize this map, you'll have to give the same value here. What you give on the left side, you have to put the same thing on the right side as well. Now you can add values to it. So you can say put. Now because our first value is integer, so I'm going to put 0, and then I'm going to put, then we are going to put one more, and this time the tray maker. Now, if you see both are at 1, so we'll change it to 2, and let's add one more at 1 so that you feel the difference what is happening. So let's call it, now let's do system.debug of our int map this time. I'll save it and let's run it again. Yeah. So this time, if you see, it says int map 1 is equal to John and 2 is equal to Trailmaker. Why? Because we have given the same values. The key value is same. Hence, Himanshu got replaced by John. So that is the difference when you use maps. I hope I would have cleared your concepts about a list, set, and a map. These are very, very important when you come to Salesforce and use them. So if you have any questions, concerns, please reach out to me. I'm available at thetrailmaker.com. I'm also available on Instagram and Facebook. Please reach out in case you have any questions or any doubts. Happy to help. See you in the next video. Good luck in your Salesforce journey. Take care. Bye-bye.